2024. We are live answering your questions. So let's get to it. Well, it's December 14th, and as promised, here we are live. We are answering questions that are coming from our app or our website. So if you don't know where to ask your question, go to unitednetwork.earth, and there's already a lot of questions waiting. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. So hopefully I can make this work. I'm sorry about this. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, but it seems to be somewhat ironed out now. So, okay, question number 1 is from Steve McGrath. Question, have you heard of the BSN network in Hong Kong for the digital yuan? I'm assuming by digital yuan you mean the RMB, Chinese currency. And yes, I've heard of it. There has been some recent developments there in China, actually, regarding this. And it's all tied to something that the Federal Reserve was lying about. They said that they own the repository, and they have been working feverishly at the Chinese Treasury to hook up their blockchain, which is this network that you're talking about, amongst 2 others that China has, to this new Federal Reserve network. However, there is no Federal Reserve network, and even those that are on the inside at the Chinese Treasury are basically saying they know it's blockchain. It may be amplified blockchain with an XRP type technology that they use. However, it is not going to be enough to even service their 1.3 billion people, their population there, let alone the rest of the world. So yes, I'm aware of it. Is it going to function for the entire country there? No, it simply doesn't work. Just in brief, blockchain is meant to be a peer-to-peer technology. It is not meant to handle the volume of transactions that you would see on any given day at any given time, especially in the Western world, meaning Europe and the US, Canada, because we use a lot of digital, cards, a lot of tap and pay and those types of things that some of the world doesn't use. China also uses a lot of that. So does Russia. So there's absolutely no chance that any kind of blockchain, even tied to SuperNAP or the NSA, is going to make that work. And we keep trying to tell these people that. Even the Bank for International Settlements bailed on blockchain technologies to run any kind of currency. So let's see, who do we have next? Michelle, hope I said that right. Hey, Kim, how many elements of the periodic table have been hidden from us? I'm guessing about 100. What's the true number? Well, that is a tough question to answer because we have a big universe. We also have a lot of different densities, and a lot of these elements wouldn't stand in the 3rd density like they would other places. I would probably, if you were asking universe-wide, there are probably tens of millions of elements we know nothing about. Here on Earth, I would say that in use, in some cases by exclusive groups, I would say that there's probably at least 150 that they were using. Here on Earth, I'd probably say there's about at least 1,500 or so that are not quite in use by humans, but have been used on Earth and are available on Earth. So there's a lot of technology and a lot of things that have been hidden, and some of these elements that are hidden from us are things that, let's just say, others on this planet didn't want humans, even the SSP, to know about. So, okay, let's see, what do we have next? Mary Rivas. Dear Kim, I am profoundly thankful that you are protecting humanity. My question is, how will the U.S. U.S. economic record debt be resolved, and how will our currency change? Elon Musk allegedly will cut $2 trillion in spending to help save the economy, and alt media is announcing a new currency will be backed by physical gold. Please explain more how the currency of gold will replace notes and how the light system AI will help free us from debt. Oh, that's a long question. Let's just start with Mr. Musk. Oh, God bless him. Musk is involved heavily with the SSP. Musk is also heavily involved with their latest and greatest adventure. And that latest and greatest adventure would be their new Ali's AI system they think they're going to be able to use. Elon Musk also has been told by the SSP that the entire world will run on his Starlink satellite system, and eventually the entire financial system will run on that, which is also a lie and not possible. That's number 3, I think we're on now. Also, for his support with the Trump operatives, and you've seen a lot of that floating around on the alt media, he has been promised that he can launch his Doge coin. I call it Doge. It's Doge, Doggy, I don't know, DOGE something coin. And as the new currency of the United States, and eventually the backing for the entire world, which is also not going to happen. One of the interesting conversations, and I mentioned this in the news last night, about what China was believing, and these are people within the Chinese treasury. They basically said that they thought that Trump, quote unquote, was running the golden age AI. Yeah, not so much so. So do I believe that he is going to cut $2 trillion from the budget, and that's going to save the United States? Well, no, because, the budgets at least 4 years ago that I was involved in were about $1.4 trillion per year. As far as the U.S. debt is concerned, it has risen significantly since we stopped funding the government, predominantly because there's been a lot of borrowing from banks and other countries and other royal families and a lot of different folks around the world. So is cutting $2 trillion going to change anything for the U.S. economy as a whole? Absolutely not. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars in derivatives out there. It's not going to change the current situation unless the situation itself changes. So in other words, a conversion to another currency, which is the currency that we're talking about with the Golden Age AI, a conversion to a different currency requires multiple different things in order to function. Backing a currency with gold, even on a very high ratio, 25-1, even if it was 1-1, let's just say that that was possible for every currency in the world to be backed by gold on a 1-1 ratio. All that really does is lend some accountability. If you have X amount of gold, then you can issue X amount of dollars. If you have an infinite amount of gold, then you can issue an infinite amount of dollars, euro, peso, ruble. It doesn't matter what your currency is. So in this particular case, when it comes to the currency of gold is a generator of energy. Now, in the system, on the highest levels of the banking system, this is what the SSP and everybody else fails to understand, but you understand more than they do at this point from watching all this time. Gold is merely a hyperconductor of source energy. That's what it does. It conducts that energy, not from you per se, but in much the same way you do. So in other words, it's not taking your energy it doesn't have to take your energy in order to convert it and give it back to you in papers or numbers on a bank sheet. It actually generates it naturally. Somewhere around Web 8, which is the unseen web, according to DARPA and others, somewhere around Web 8, that is then converted into numbers. And then it's not numbers like we see them until you start hitting webs 3, 2, and 1, and you live on level 1. So by the time that you get to right between 2 and 1, there is a renumeration process that goes on, and now you see it as 100, 200 in your account. So it's a different sort of number before that. As far as a debt conversion system, well, as far as the public is concerned, it's going to take a little bit of time to make this work. There'll be new quote unquote products out there and ways for you to buy a home that will make it easier. You'll slowly see things like credit lines convert into something else, and maybe like a prepaid line of some sort or that type of thing. You'll start to see a lot of conversion in banking products that will become available to you, the public. As far as interim solutions, we have talked often about life essentials, which covers us for wage disparity, based on demographics in specific regions. And we've talked about life assurance, which is supposed to serve your health needs. Now, those programs are already written. A lot of the back work has already been done. We have already sourced all the companies and everything that are going to provide those services. None of them come from the current system, and none of them really even know what they're producing. So kind of works out that way. And we did compartmentalize it between several different companies at this point, and we do have a few people that are administrating that. That has been going on long for the last couple of years. So it is in place and ready to go as soon as we are ready to go. As far as them claiming that Trump owned it, Trump owns the banking system, Trump owns the golden age AI, I've heard that a million times. Where's the gold tie now? And then I've heard about the operatives saying that they're going to get a hold of this by the new moon, full moon, 11/11, 12/12, and all other days ending in Y. That's based on their esoteric dealings with other people or other folks, let's just say, in which they thought was going to yield them a positive result, which it hasn't. As far as an administration changing a currency, that's actually not possible. It's actually never been possible for a president to dictate any kind of policy as it relates to any kind of financial dealings. Sure, they sign off on a final budget in any country, doesn't matter where you are, but that's more for show. And it's just kind of a pledge. So, everybody talks about it. Allegedly, us humans were supposed to vote on it everywhere. That doesn't really happen anymore. It's our representatives, because we're apparently not capable of representing ourselves. And our representatives vote on what we want money spent on. And then it goes into the government. So goes to the president, and then the president eventually to the handlers, and then the handlers on up through, your families, your Order of the Dragon and whatnot. And then eventually it would be submitted to the person that sits in my chair, which it still does, by the way. I just stopped answering the phone. So I don't really see anything that they're talking about actually coming to fruition ever. Matter of fact, most of those operatives are probably due to some bad business dealings with non-humans that don't take no for an answer and don't take too kindly to lies, cheating, and stealing. No, who knows how long they're going to be around. Let's see. We'll see. So that's going to be interesting. I'm trying to get to as many questions as possible. That would have been a really, really long answer if I went into extreme detail. So please bear with me. My little timer in my ear tells me that you're talking too much. So bear. Okay, Mrs. B. Mrs. B says, since the Abraxas were 1.0 and we are human 7.0, and we have been de-evolving for billions of years, what did all of these people look like, and what were they called, and how did they die? Oh, dear. Okay. First of all, we are not the only humans that are alive on Earth. So in other words, we have humans, us, on Earth, and we have other humans in other locations. Human takes on various different forms. We have some that are very tall, some 10, 20, 15 feet tall, which we have been on Earth at some point in the past. We also have other humans in, even like the Pleiades and other dimensions. We go all the way up to the seventh density. As far as I know, I haven't met any that exceed that, but that doesn't mean that there are not. It's kind of where density sort of starts to leave us at that point. But that doesn't mean they're not human. As far as humans on Earth, I would say we were closely related to, at one point in time, the Alcyon folks, which means we look a lot like we do now. We were a lot lighter, meaning you could see our light shine through our person. I would say our skin was, we were not so diverse that we were, I guess you would say we have different colors of humans, as far as skin tone is concerned, but that light and that shine kind of shines through everyone. So best I can tell you as far as the original versions, like on Tiamat and on Earth, so around here, so to speak, we were taller. We had more of a shine to us. We had very similar features to what you see us have now. There was not a whole lot of difference other than the fact we did not age the way that we, as this version of human, ages. We kind of looked the same once we grew to adulthood for hundreds of years. And that's predominantly because we didn't have any outside interference. And of course, then there was the incarnation program and so on and so forth. Now, the Abraxas. Oh, dear. Well, the Abraxas, the original Abraxas, before they became lower astral beings, were a little bit taller than us, fifth density beings. You hear people talk about, let's go back to the fifth density. I would say that that's where they originated. They were not as evil as the second version of the Abraxas, which were of the Omegaverse. And then come to find out, another replicated version, as all life was, organic and inorganic, into the nether world. So I would say that they originally looked a lot like humans did on Earth at that time. That's what I would say. And probably a little bit more like the Alcyon folks. I would say now you become, they say you are what you eat, and they became very, very dark until there were no more of the light, which happened a long time ago. And I would say they actually have a dark hue to them, and I don't mean a color of a skin. I mean they don't have a shine. Like even a lot of humans you see, you can still see that shine in a lot of humans, especially when we're happy or pregnant or getting married or in love. There's a certain shine we have to ourselves, or, sometimes for people it's being in church. Doesn't really matter how you find your love. But we do have a certain glow about us. There's something different about us. And you notice that in humans that are extremely, well rested, have a great diet, they are in love, and they just have that glow about them. So the Abraxas have the opposite of that. It's almost repulsive to be in their vicinity. To me anyway. And it's similar in some cases to their bloodline spawn, of humans that are on Earth. You almost are, it's like two magnets pushing against each other in some cases, because it's just their energy is so repulsive. And I have met a number of them in person over the years, so I can personally tell you that. As far as humans de-evolving, I would say we were more and more damaged, because no matter what they did to us, they couldn't disconnect us from the Creator. And they tried and tried and tried, and even this Ali's AI is trying to do that now. And it's failing miserably. It's trying to do it through frequencies, through overlays on an atomic level for every cell that's in your body. It's been pretty brutal over the last couple of weeks. And, I just probably should give a shout out to the stupid deep state and the dumb secret space program operatives for making a deal with those people in the first place. Well, they refuse to lose. So, but lose they will. Okay, we have another question from Hans Coopers. I think I'm going to say that right. And this is from Germany. What can we source beings do concretely to carry out our work for the good of the whole, free of multiplication frequencies? Let's see if I can get that right. And to achieve a normal income and livelihood. Okay, so we're talking about money, I'm assuming. And that's what whole, free multiplication of frequencies means. Okay, so if we're talking about the multiplication of money, we are talking about a system that has been created specifically for you, and eventually you will be able to use this system without me. It's designed that way. If something were to happen to me, it would be divided up between all of you, and I hope at least one of you figures it out. But the system is only going to operate for the highest and best good of all. Frequency is involved. And right now, currently at this moment, we have the opposite frequency going out, which is trying to break apart that energy so it doesn't reach a matter state, which is what's in your bank account in your pocket. That's called a MOSFET system, MOSSFIT. It's being run, or was being run, by the Ali's AI until it died this morning. So hopefully for the last hour or so, I haven't seen any frequencies, maybe an hour or two now, because I had to get ready to get down here so to talk to all of you. So can you counterbalance these frequencies? In some cases, you can. You can counterbalance a negative frequency that is coming from you or toward you externally. You can shield. You can also put out a vibration of a certain frequency. You can also reach out directly to source and bring that frequency of love onto this planet, which will eventually help the goal generate more energy. You're helping others generate a positive energy when you're sending out a positive frequency. But frequency is only one element as it relates to generating matter, because you also have essence. You have an etherical field, you have energy, you have consciousness. So consciousness can also shape your frequency. You have matter itself, obviously, which is the end goal. You have wisdom, which weaves the fabric of reality. You also have love, which is a language, and it's also a computer language, believe it or not, and at least an AI language. And you also have different time. Now we're moving to crystalline time. So time is also distance. So remember that. So there are a number of different factors as it relates to the generation of energy, especially positive, golden age, pure energy amongst yourself and other humans. As far as the universe goes, I would just kindly remind you, the universe does not recognize, no, I don't want, take it away, my insert here. It doesn't recognize the negatives. When you talk in negatives, you're actually helping the dark side, or you're helping black magic. I'm not going to say on your daily, don't say, no, I don't want chicken for dinner. I don't mean like that. But when you're trying to actually actively, whether you do that via meditation or a walk in nature, when you're trying to actively manifest something, remember that. Remember that you're bringing good things. You're bringing a whole frequency. You're bringing love. You're bringing abundance to everyone, including yourself and those around you. Also, do not forget to put on your oxygen mask first, meaning if there are things in your world that you need to manifest, focus on those things. If this was years ago, I would tell you not to focus and not to ask for money. And the reason why I would tell you that is because money was dark. Money still is dark. Focus on currency of gold. Bring me the current of the energy of source, the creator. But is it money that you need? Or do you need a new home, a new car? Do you need your car fixed? Do you need to take a vacation or a trip somewhere? What is it that you desire? And I would focus on your desires and let source sort out how they come. Because you'll be surprised. There have been times in my life, and I'll repeat this, where it was kind of right after it had been announced to everyone that I had this job in this position, and the deep state came after me with all their normal stuff. You can't get a job, you can't get any kind of state assistance, you can't get anything, and you're just kind of left in the corner until you do what they want you to do. That's what they do to everybody, isn't it? I'm sure some of you have experienced this. I know I have more than once, but they keep trying the same thing over and over again, but I get smarter and now I know how to counteract those things. So that's okay. But anyway, at this point, no bank account, no nothing. And it wasn't because I chose it. It was because I couldn't. And I was trying to feed a young child, at the time. And there was a point in time where I said, I'm running really low on groceries. Source, God, I need groceries. I need to feed my daughter. I need to be able to feed her dinner every night this week. And, everything's going to be great. And someone a friend of mine, knocked at the door and said, hey, I went to this farmer's marketplace and, they were doing this $10 for a whole box of produce. Thought maybe you could use some. And I got an entire box right there on my table. So it didn't come the way I thought. Maybe I thought I was going to get money for that, but I ended up getting enough groceries for a whole week and more, actually, and basically for free. So my needs were provided for. So I just ask you to think about that next time you're trying to manifest something. And don't get me wrong, the currency is important, money is important. We are still working very hard. It's an uphill battle for sure. But I would say if you need something, think about it. Maybe just think about it using some of those things that we just talked about. So, okay, next question is from Maya Sky. Did all of the archangels do consciousness transfers? I believe this happened to a close light worker friend of mine who used to work with Gabriel and is now displaying a different, darker personality. Oh dear. I would say those in the know had the ability to do consciousness transfers at will. Dividing their consciousness between one being versus 100 beings can be done to some degree. And remember, you have to have a certain connection to source, or in this case, anti-source, in order to have that consciousness constantly generating. Because most of us, I shouldn't say not all of us, but a lot of the humans walking on Earth, I ask that question all the time, some of the people we run into. But I would say that most of the humans on Earth get their consciousness from source. It's been, if anything, overlaid, poked at, almost like black magic done to your consciousness to try to make you do things you wouldn't normally do as humans. To try to disconnect you from source, to try to disconnect that consciousness from source, from that constant download all of the time. So if there was a human that worked together with Gabriel, say it was because Gabriel was both archangel and angel, or of light and dark, being in the neutral zone. Would I say that his attitude or her attitude being different nowadays, now that he or it is gone? I would say we have to be careful who we channel. And we have to be able to, if we're going to start reaching out to people or others in a way that we are having a conversation with someone, make sure you use what I call caller ID. There are certain beings in your life, or even certain humans in your life, where you almost know that they're coming. You could say that there was a neighbor or maybe your child that was coming over to your house but didn't call you on the actual telephone first. You can almost sense that they're coming. If the telephone rings without even looking at it, you can say, oh, I know that's my mother, or I know that's my spouse. And you know automatically who it is. You can do the same thing when you're having these conversations with others, regardless of where they are. Everybody has a signature. I also would suggest, if you're going to have conversations with people on the other side, that perhaps you think about learning to also see them. In other words, a remote viewing kind of type thing. So you're actually traveling to them and you're having a quote unquote face-to-face conversation at that point. And I say that because sometimes when people think they're talking to someone or some being, maybe they're really not, because they say the devil's the greatest liar, right? And I would say that a lot of the lower astral beings, netherworld beings, AI systems could do the same to people. So who knows who he was talking to? And if he was indeed talking to the actual person, or actual being, I should say, then who is reaching out now? You have to ask yourself that question. Who is he talking to now? Who is trying to take that person's place? So, that would be my biggest concern. And if I were to hold a training class for the next 2 hours on how to talk to others and how to talk to each other, it's something you already have. It's something you already know. And we could go through it step by step. But remember, everybody is going to be a little different in how they get there. Eventually, you'll get to the point where your phone line is open and you can decide who you're going to hang up on and whose telephone conversation you're going to answer. So there are things to look out for, as we start to grow and expand and talk to others. That would be my only thing there. So I can't judge. I don't know your particular person to know if that could make him dark now, or her dark. But I would say that use caution. And you're not going to be able to tell a person who thinks that they're special because they're having this conversation otherwise. And the only thing you can really do in these types of cases is protect yourself. Okay, Judith White wants to know, what can we expect from the crazy people in the USA that want to intentionally spread another illness? Oh dear. They have ruined, it's not just been the US, it's been many different countries, but illnesses are very expensive. There is a certain amount of test projects that were going on, coming from Ali's, the AI, also coming through the Omegaverse, that were trying to send us short spurts. This has been going on for over 2.5 months now, where we've had the 5-minute cold, the 10-minute cough, the 2-minute stomach flu, or even in some cases 24-hour stomach flu, until we find it and figure it out where it's coming from. So I would say there's been a lot of experimentation on that to see what they could do in that regard. Again, these things are very expensive. They are expecting quote unquote money from the fake global repository that now reads Trump is dead. Nothing is coming from this new administration here in the U.S. The Federal Reserve is broke. Let's see, China, the Lee family has no money. The Rothschilds have nothing to give you. The Trump operatives have lied about everything, and there'll never be a pipeline that'll go from Saudi Arabia throughout the Middle East. It just changes every couple of seconds, long enough so that they can read it. And the best thing I could do to defend you and your question, meaning If they thought that they could issue bonds off the repository, if they thought they could lien it, if they thought that they could get any money out of it, they may just try to start this pandemic anyway. We've seen tiny bits of disease X coming out of the Democratic Republic of Congo, monkeypox, no monkeypox, monkeypox, no monkeypox, bubonic plague, no, not yet. And then, you never hear anything else about it. What's next? I haven't heard anything else. Disease X seems to be the main thing they're going for, along with some kind of a bacteria known as Provora. Yeah, Provora they're not going to get from anything but an AI, and they're not going to get the AI, so they're not going to get Provora. So we'll see. Provora is not, too long for this for this broadcast, but another day, maybe we'll talk about it, what Provora is and all the different bacteria on the GIA report. Okay, Camblin has a question. Are our dreams another reality in another dimension, and do we have any control over them? Let's see. You do have control over your dreams to some degree. You can set your intention as you drift off into what we call theta mode. And if you remember during the New Earth series, and I think we still have those up on the app, a lady named Michelle talks a lot about theta mode and the things that are possible when your mind is in theta mode. That's the time, like right before you wake up, you kind of feel like you're not quite awake and you're not quite asleep. And it's the time right as you drift off to sleep. That's when the brain is in theta. And people that go and do meditation a lot, they strive to be in theta. Eventually, when you kind of master this, you can put your brain in theta and still function like you're wide awake and walking around and cooking dinner. So you can somewhat control your dreams by setting your intention. I would say the easiest way to do that would be to set the intention during theta. Don't focus on work or problems in your life, or you'll probably start dreaming about those problems. Can others control your dreams? They have been able to. They do so with frequencies and a version of astral projection or inception, so to speak, to humans here on Earth. They feel that they can get humans to create things for them. Is it possible that you're in another reality or in another dimension or even in another timeline in the past when we had other timelines? Yes, definitely. Sometimes it's even memories. You're having dreams of memories because they memory wipe with you when you come here. So you don't remember anything from previous lifetimes. Some people do. I shouldn't say that. Nobody doesn't. But some people do. Have those memories. And I would say that sometimes you're having a memory of something that's actually happening in our time simultaneously in another timeline. How's that for interesting? Your consciousness is connected. Even though we had 10,368,000 timelines simultaneously occurring within your person, that's a lot for a human. I keep telling you how powerful you are. So even though you had all these timelines going on simultaneously, that doesn't mean that your consciousness just at that moment, right when you're in theta, or you're not in quite REM sleep, or maybe for you it is REM sleep, and you're crossing your consciousness. Normally those things aren't allowed. They would stop that from happening, but humans are very strange, not strange, but they're wonderful, I should say. And you can do a lot more than you think as a human, as far as crossing through time and space, even in a dream state. So it's definitely possible, for sure. Okay, Richard Hazard. Cloaked ships question. I thought I saw cloud ships from the Springs all the way to Denver on the 12th. Do you know if they were there or not? 12th of when? 12th of this month? I would say, I don't know about ships, but there are ways that the SSP does some strange things. I would also say to you that cloaking, if you start to see through the cloak, can sometimes look like that. I would definitely tell you with 100% certainty that we had a lot of activity in this entire region, also throughout all of Colorado. So I would say it's quite possible. I was not in Colorado Springs during that time, but yeah, interesting. Okay, we have Joel Beaumont, if I said that correctly. Can you explain Jesus' current role and relationship with Source and humanity? Oh dear. There are many different definitions of the term we use as Jesus. Yeshua, however you say this. This is a being that came directly from the ninth density, is the one that we're often referring to. And our history is very elusive of what this being was doing. So this is a being that came here to Earth to help humanity rise up and transfer over to a light age. This opportunity happens every 1,008 years. And if you do the actual real calculations, you'll see that this happened about 2016 or so years ago, probably a little bit less now. And I would say that the term Je suis can also refer to the I am. So was this person of the I am? Yes. Did this person have the ability, because of where they're from, to maintain that connection on that level despite everything that's been going on this planet? Yes. Is it a little more difficult for some people on this planet to make that connection? I would say yes. But when you think of this person and all the things they did that you know about, that are written in our books, I would say to you that imagine if every human walking the planet could actually do this and connect to the Je suis, or translated to the I am, meaning source. I would say to you, it would be definitely a different existence, wouldn't it? And we have been like that as humans before. And we're hoping that we all end up there again. It's going to take a lot of effort and time and a lot of healing, for a lot of people to know what they're really capable of and what's possible. But I would say at this moment, there is no such thing as death. I know that we saw somebody die, apparently nailed to a black magic mechanism. And I would say that the soul and the being, is very much still alive, and it's probably alive in all of us. You could even say that. So, okay. Julie Bowden. How can we support you? What do you need? Oh, Lord. Okay, it's not what I need. It is what we need. Meaning we are all in this together. We are all rowing the same boat. Whether we want to be in the same boat some days, because I can see how people talk to each other a lot in some of the chats. But I can say we're all in the same boat. You can try rowing in the opposite direction if you want. Not you personally, Julie, but maybe some others. Others can try to row in the opposite direction and yell at people because they're wearing a yellow shirt and they happen to hate the color yellow, and yellow stands for something they read on the internet somewhere. Or you can choose to try to have a commonality. I mean, we may not all speak the same language anymore, and that's done on purpose. And we may not all like the same music. We may not even like the same television shows, or we may not watch TV, or we may not like to live in the same climate. Some people may like Siberian winds, and some people like the beach. So We all are different in a lot of different ways, but the one thing we have in common is well, except for maybe the deep state, but we all are a part of source. We all are striving for that connection to source. We all hope for the best for humanity. We focus on 3D concerns sometimes when we don't realize that together we can actually do those things without 3D system of the deep state creations. We can do them on our own. And if we are all together rowing the same boat, even if it's just for one day and for one purpose, you'd be surprised what you can achieve and what you can accomplish by rowing the boat in the same direction. Put aside your need to get on Telegram and act like an armchair warrior and beat the crap out of somebody that doesn't even know you, just so you can make them feel as bad as you do. Just don't do it. Just stop yourself. If you'd like to be in misery, then go kick the sofa, stub your toe, break your foot, do whatever you got to do over there. But why do you do this to other people you don't even know? Is that because it's impersonal? Is that because you never met these people? You don't know anything about them. They just posted a comment simply asking a question, and you feel the need to pummel them. If you're doing that, you're rowing the boat in the opposite direction. That's, you may just say, well, I've never heard of that. I disagree with the fact that yellow shirts mean that you are a spawn of Satan. Maybe you could give me the information about that so I can decide for myself, because I am sovereign. And don't enforce your opinions on me. We agree you're not going to wear yellow shirts, and we agree I might do that. We don't know. But row the boat in the same direction. Try to get people to row the boat in the same direction. And if anything, just focus on a common goal that you have together. This will help the planet tremendously, because despite all odds and despite what they throw at us, all of you together with all of that good energy, positive, supportive energy, is going to take us really far. So if you're asking me what I need humanity to row the boat in the same direction. Now, I don't expect it to happen worldwide, and I know that we've been so divided. 1 hour, 1 day, one common goal, row the boat in the same direction for that one common goal. And maybe we can expand it to 2 and 3 and 4. And then you'll see what you can achieve and you can accomplish by doing it together. So help me hand out oars that only go in one direction. Okay? That's what you can do to help. Okay, let's see. John Holman. It seems like it is going to be a while before the CARE project can be started and money is available to make it possible. Any idea when that process can start and how it is going to be administered? Okay. No. Just when I think I'm there, I'm not. Just when I think I'm close, I'm not. Just when I think I'm close, then something else shows up. And there is no human on this planet that is more frustrated with this process than me. I can assure you. You could be frustrated on your worst day, but you are not as frustrated as me. As far as CARE is concerned, CARE has the capability still of transferring money to governments. I mean, that's a fact. We've done it. Getting past level 3 to you, the human, has been a series, and I mean a plethora, thousands and thousands of curses that they continued to place on us until we took away their keys, which hasn't been that long. So I would say hopefully soon. Yesterday would be my preference. But again, this is up to Source, and Source always has something in mind. So I'm waiting for Source. I really am. Okay, and how is it going to be administered? I'm not going to put out too much information, especially not live on all the tubes and everywhere else about that. And the reason why I'm not has nothing to do with holding back information from humanity. So please don't take this the wrong way. Remember, we have an enemy out there, and our enemy is going to look for the how it's going to be administered. And they're going to insert themselves everywhere or destroy it because they do not want you to get any help. They would prefer it if you all were locked in a box and generating energy on the daily. But unfortunately, they can't keep you happy in a box. Otherwise, you would already be there. So just remember, there's a time and place for everything. And that time to do this live on social media probably is not now. To some degree, there are plenty of people, engineers, general contractors, and all kinds of people of that caliber, people that have been in natural medicine for 40, 50 years, that are standing there putting together processes and possible ideas as far as administrative needs and taking a look at projects in their respective fields. So there are a lot of people that have been working, also probably working regular jobs too, but they've also been working on this process for quite a while now, ensuring that when that time comes and we're ready to start moving, that they are also ready. They know it's going to happen. They have faith, and they are not waiting for somebody to give them $2 million so that they can get a business plan done. So I'll leave that at that. Okay. Lauren Oletz, why did the global intel team allow the fake Trump to be elected again? Well, let's just say the votes weren't there. I would tell you that. Did he get elected illegally? No, he didn't. And probably not the last time either. Let's just say that's a fact. Does it really matter? They're going to do what they're going to do. They sold a lot of bits and pieces, trillions and billions of dollars in alleged funding that hasn't come. It was supposed to come on the day after the election, hasn't come. Selection. Number one. Number two, you've never voted for a president in your life. It doesn't matter what country you're in, democracy or otherwise. You've never selected anybody. Nobody cares what you think as people. They select who they need to select in order to get what they want. And in this case, that was another 4 years of dead people in the office. We've already had 4 years of dead people. We're going to have another 4 years of dead people. Does a president actually make a decision? Can a president change the world? No. Never has happened in the history of democracy. Never will it happen as long as they're around. And so does it really matter who sits there? We put in a little bit of effort, let's just say, and what they showed on mainstream media was not the same. The numbers were different. That's about all we can really do. We're definitely not going to convince crazy operatives to do something different. They had their mindset that this is what they wanted to do. They had promised the moon, stars, and the sun to every country in the world, which will never, ever come to fruition. And I definitely know that. Are they going to try? Sure. Did they try to send us also, these same people, frequencies to our cell phones at the end of October? Yes, they did. Did they try to do that this morning? Yes, they did. Were they trying to access a system that would allow them to participate because they were promised by basically what you would call the walking Satan that they could do this? Yes. Did they try to sell us as humanity to these beings again? Yes, they did. Did they tell them that they were in charge too? Why, yes, they did. Did they find out in the last 24 hours that those people were not actually in charge? Yes, they did. And now I wish these people are going to wish that they actually only had a marker, because what comes next from those others will certainly not be pleasant. And you know what? I am not going to stand in their way this time. This is one alien invasion you can have, guys. You can take that one. And they're coming for you. That I know for as a fact. Okay. All right. One more question, and then we're going to take a quick 10-minute break or so, and we'll be right back with the second hour of questions. So last question for this hour is going to be Bonnie Wills. And how is the marketplace going? Are self-owned businesses finding their way to it so we can readily buy from them for all our needs that we don't grow or are unable to make for ourselves? Okay, the answer to the question is yes. We are going to be going into beta testing next week. So finally, we've sorted out, hopefully, all the bugs with the vendor portals. The shipping bugs have been figured out. The marketplace looks beautiful, actually. I'll see if I can get a little bit of a kind of a preview of the marketplace, at least the homepage that you can take a look at. That means we're going to start reaching out to our sponsors that were here from the very beginning with us that own businesses that would like to help us beta test. They can help us troubleshoot, see what's right, what's wrong, and how that's working, and things we can improve upon. So we are excited to at least get to beta testing. This has been a long road, and it's been a lot of coding. It was definitely a lot more complicated than I ever thought it would be, based on, you got a plugin for everything when it comes to, building websites these days, but apparently you don't. So a lot of coding has gone into this and a lot of hard work from our whole team. And for that, if you're listening, team, thank you very much. And all of you know who you are. And I would say that hopefully, once we're in beta testing, then we're going to need some test customers too that can buy a couple of products and let us know how the checkout process was and if there's anything we can improve upon there. So, okay. Let's see. Looks like we pulled it up. Okay, so this is just obviously they're just using our products and stuff like that to do some testing for the website. So looks like they did pull it up for us. That was fast. Thank you, production. But you can go ahead and scroll down a little bit so they can take a look at. No, he can't scroll. This is live, guys. So, but anyway, you can see that we are actually doing it. It looks beautiful, and hopefully we'll be seeing it very soon. So we do have a farm to table section on there, which will actually locate farms, allow for pickup, allow for booking. Also services, you can book anything from mechanic services to a haircut to a nutritional consultation, and eventually we'll also have medical up there also. So you can reach out to a nutritionist, a doctor, or whatever it is, and what happens between the two of you, happens between the two of you. We've also been contacted by someone that, depending on when it's approved by the certain folks, we may be test marketing a delivery service for medical marijuana needs. So it's going to be really interesting next year as to all of the things that we're going to do with the marketplace. So I'm really kind of excited about that. So we're going to take about a 10-minute break. So stand by. We're not going anywhere. We are just going to let everybody get up, get a cup of coffee, and maybe stretch your legs. I know I'm going to for a minute, and then I'll be right back.